if you're not focused on the strategy for what your business needs right now, you'll just be doing anything and everything that you see a guru doing or something that somebody told you that works, but you really won't have an understanding of how that's going to impact your business and your bottom line.
Hey, it's Renee. Welcome to the Into the Wild Show, a podcast designed to encourage women to take their back of the napkin idea, launch it, and grow a wildly successful business. I founded We Wild Women, an entrepreneur training company, to help women like you, moms and go-getters, start the business of their dreams the right way. Not too long ago, I launched my $1 million agency when I was 8 months pregnant with my first son and welcomed my second son only 11 months later. So I know how to grow businesses and babies. Join me as I teach you the guiding principles and how to start and grow your business while overcoming the voice in your head screaming, "It's not possible." These raw and funny episodes will make you feel like you're right here with me, sipping on some Pinot and leaving more confident saying, "Yes, I can." Every episode leaves you with some action items and a real kick in the ass to get started. Here on Into the Wild, you'll hear from other trailblazing entrepreneurs and experts because I know that the best advice is from someone who's successfully done it before. So put your headphones on, grab a cup of coffee, and tune in because Into the Wild is about to begin.
Subscribe to my mom's podcast.
Hey, you wild women. My next guest is the CEO of that marketing team and the creator of the Liberated CEO Accelerator. She is an award-winning instructional designer with 20 plus years of experience creating learning experiences and content for Fortune 500 companies like Barnes & Noble and tech startups like Leadpages, which I use. So this is so exciting. Please welcome the incredible, the beautiful, the awesome woman with a great story with her name, Tai Goodwin.
Hey, how are you, Renee? I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, well, thanks for you coming on the show. Before we press record, you were telling me this really cute story about why you use a smaller, short version of your name.
Yes.
Share that again.
It's a little embarrassing. I don't think he's listening, but when I was in high school, I had a math teacher named Mr. Sukowski, and I had a huge crush on him. And he would always say, my tie. And I thought, maybe crushing on me a little bit. And it turned out he actually probably had like a drinking problem because he was talking about Mai Tai alcohol. And I was like, 10, 11, but I had no idea what a Mai Tai was. But then I learned, it wasn't me. It was a drink. Okay.
But you're not a Mai Tai. Okay, so I'm going to ask you some quick questions. It gives the audience a chance to get to know you better, faster. So I'd love to know, where are you from?
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Philly. It's funny. I was just watching a bunch of the Philly 76ers basketball. Is that right? Okay, yeah. They're playing the Toronto Raptors. And yeah, the Raptors lost. But that's okay. My two favorite, oh my gosh, I don't even remember their names, were from Philadelphia in the games that I was watching. Do you watch basketball at all?
I do not watch basketball.
So you would have absolutely no clue who I'm talking about. Anyways, they were some really great players. What's one of your favorite quotes?
That's an easy one. There are people who can't step into their purpose until you step into yours.
Ooh, say that one more time.
There are people who can't step into their purpose until you step into yours.
Wow. That's deep. Because that means that if you're not doing the thing that you know you should be doing, you're actually stopping other people from doing their thing.
Absolutely. I wrote a book. It's from my book, actually. It's my quote, but it's the one that rules everything I do. Because I know that me stepping up and being here, it's going to open the door for somebody else and create a ripple effect.
Wait, so that's your quote?
My quote.
Wow. Okay. I didn't realize that I had a genius on the show today. I really like that. And it's so profound. It actually reminds me of something that Oprah once said, and I believe it was Oprah. I paraphrase this when she said something about public speaking, that if you were asked to be a speaker or a guest on stage somewhere, you are doing the people in the audience a disservice if you're too afraid to go on stage and really wow them. Essentially, she was saying that you're selfish if you can't be the best version of yourself on stage for these people. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to say yes to every public speaking opportunity after this now.
Yeah, so good. I mean, it's actually how I got to have impact in Africa. I'll tell you that story if you want to know, but that's a wild story, because I would have, if I never stepped into my purpose, I would not have had an impact in Africa.
I love that. And that's so powerful. I mean, we could just stop the recording now. We're good. Okay. So what was one of the best pieces of business advice you ever received?
Oh gosh, from my mentor, one of the best pieces of advice is everybody is not for you.
Nope. Think about all those men that you've dated. No, they are not for you. But we're talking about marketing, right? Yes.
well, marketing and dating are very, very similar. I say it all the time, but it is very true. Especially as women, we've got to stop thinking that we're meant to serve everybody, because it's just not true.
Exactly. And that's just too exhausting if we were to try to be everything for everybody. Okay, what's one of your biggest business mistakes?
Hiring the wrong people.
Ding. Yep. Tell us a little story.
Oh, I can tell you a big story. I'm a healer. That's just part of who I am. And I tend to attract people that need that they need some mothering, they need some guidance. And that's great if I'm doing community work and volunteering. It's not so great in business, because I found myself trying to say to a person, well, you're not really good at this. Let me find something for you to do in a company. No, they weren't a good fit. And it's funny, because when I ended up letting the person go, he told me, he said, you put up with me a lot longer than I would have put up with myself.
Wow. Oh.
So, lesson learned to hire slow and fire fast.
Exactly. And this is the perfect timing for me to drop a little note that on May 18th, we are actually hosting a free masterclass that is called The People Strategy to Scaling Your Business. So we talk all about this and how one thing we fail to recognize when we're becoming an entrepreneur and growing a business is that people are your biggest problems, but they're their most important assets in your business. And learning when's the right time to fire or hire or to promote is so key to growing your business. So I really appreciate that you brought that up. So anyways, that is May 18th. You can check it in the show notes and you can go sign up. It's free to attend. And we have the amazing Jackie Service who's going to come and talk to us so you don't make these mistakes. Okay, so one book that you're reading right now or within the last few months that you can recommend.
The Psychology of Money.
Oh, okay.
I'm listening to it on audio book, but it's really interesting, talking about how people that have been greedy because they didn't understand the psychology of money and they thought that more was more, and what it ended up costing them in the long run. So it's very, very interesting. Really, really good stories in that book with some great examples.
So is this more entrepreneur focused or is it just general?
Just general money stuff. Yeah.
Interesting. And I think too on this, and we're going to come back to this, how especially early on in business, how we fail to invest in the right talent, like hiring for marketing, because we don't want to spend those dollars. We worry about that cash flow leaving the organization when we realize like it's always too little too late because we're drowning in all the work, but we have to invest and like that abundance comes back to you. So I'll put that book in the show notes as well. Okay. Now let's dive a little bit deeper into what you're doing and what you're working on. I'd love to know what inspired you to start your company.
It always goes back to my daughter. She's 20 now. So that's how long I've been doing this. And my initial goal was that I did not want to go back to work when she was born. I wanted to be home with her. I wanted to not have to put her in daycare. Now, it didn't quite work out that way. And I ended up launching while working. But the entire time that she was growing up, I've only had to go into an office about 5 years out of the entire time she was growing up and going to school. And now she actually works in my business with me.
No way. So you've nurtured this cute little now woman entrepreneur. She's been there from the beginning. That's amazing.
Yeah, she could build email automations in like Infusionsoft. Like that's what she does. She builds out automated stuff. I was going to say that. I was trying to be but she's got some skills, right? She's got some real skill. So it's really good.
Oh, that must be so fun for both of you to be together, to work on something together. That's a beautiful, beautiful relationship. Okay, so let's dive into these bankable marketing strategies. So first of all, what do you mean by bankable?
Bankable is one of my favorite words. To me, bankable means that you are able to bring in enough money, not just to pay yourself, not just to pay your taxes, but you're able to bring in enough money so that you can sow into the people, the community, and the projects that matter to you. That's a bankable business.
Cool. I love it. Cash flow, baby. And so today we're going to talk about these 3 strategies. Well, it's really like one strategy with 3 steps about how to create this strategy for your business, regardless of the size. But a lot of these tips are catered towards women that have businesses that are in their first few years of business, that have less than 10 employees, that are just like really aching to make it to the $1 million mark. However, there's going to be stuff that we reflect on that can be used for businesses of all sizes. But first of all, because you're the marketing genius in all of this, I'd love to know, how do you hire for marketing help? Like, what is the thing that we do when we have a small business?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think a lot of people get this wrong, and I'm going to start there and I'm going to tell you how to make it right. I hear all day from people, well, I hired a VA. I got a VA to post social media for me. Oh, I'm so freed up now. I don't have to post social media. And then my question is, well, what are they posting? Well, they just post stuff so that I'm visible. And I see that a lot. Just because somebody knows how to post something on Facebook or Instagram, just because someone knows how to make a reel that looks cool, if you're not hiring somebody that understands strategy, it's going to be a misfire. I'll give you a perfect example. One of my clients, she does pitching. She's a pitch coach. Like, she helps people get on Shark Tank and close deals and, get money from venture capitalists. She hired these people who were doing her social media, and they were posting a whole bunch of inspirational quotes on her social media. And it looked pretty, but she's talking about how to pitch for millions of dollars. So the alignment and the messaging was off. So she started getting a lot of people who wanted to feel really good about stuff, but they weren't trying to pitch and close deals. So she had people that could do social media, but didn't have a strategy. So when you're hiring, start with strategy first, especially for marketing. You need to have somebody that understands, well, yeah, we want to be on Instagram, but why are we on Instagram and what is our goal here, right? Like, why do we want to use LinkedIn Live or Facebook Live? Like, where do we want to be and why should we be in those places? And why should we be putting this particular content out? And if you get that strategy in, you're going to see a better ROI, because that's what ends up happening when you make the wrong hire. I hear this all the time. I had a VA, or we did Facebook ads and nothing worked. Well, what was your strategy? I don't know. They just told me to do Facebook ads. Well, you're going to have a misalignment in your ROI because you don't have the right strategy to begin with. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah, I think there's actually a former guest, and I love her, said that if you have the opportunity to get on every social media channel, you should. And I'm like, how does one proceed to manage this when they can't even post one thing on Twitter in a year? And it all comes down to really understanding who your ideal customer is and where they hang out, right? And I come back to this example all the time. John Smith from Auto Trader, who writes about trucks, isn't going to want to know about the new gadget for your breast pump. So make sure you're targeting the right person, right? And that is important to the social channels, the messaging. Yes, you can get a lot of followers on like Instagram because you have those inspirational quotes, but are these people actually going to take action because of that content? Probably not. They'll share that stuff, but you ain't purchasing from them.
Exactly. It's the wrong audience. And another thing with that I see is it's the why. I've seen people say, well, I'm going to be on all these social media platforms. Well, just because I need to. Well, you've got about 1,000 leads on LinkedIn that you haven't even talked to. Why don't you go nurture them first? And then you can think about other social media stuff later. Like, if you need sales right now, that's not the time for you to start building like huge sales funnels that take weeks to get traffic to. If you need sales right now, you need to learn how to pick up the phone, have sales conversations, and pull those sales in. But again, if you're not focused on the strategy for what your business needs right now, you'll just be doing anything and everything that you see a guru doing or something that somebody told you that works, but you really won't have an understanding of how that's going to impact your business and your bottom line.
Pursuing big ideas, following your dreams, and taking chances can feel scary, especially if you're doing this all alone. That's why I created the Wild Collective, a community for women just like you who want to create, launch, and grow a wildly successful business. Whether you're just starting out or in a rut, or aiming for the first $1 million in sales, there is nothing more powerful than surrounding yourself with a community of women just like you that want to succeed. Look, you can Google the answers to all your business questions and find some stellar content. You can vent to your friends, or you can lean on your neighbor for some business advice. But nothing compares to joining a vetted community of insanely talented and mindful women that are all reaching for the same dream, to live their life on their terms while growing a purpose-led business. In the Wild Collective, we host monthly expert trainings, group coaching from myself and other experts, access to a growing portal of incredible content designed to help bring your business to life and beyond, discounts to offers and events, and the greatest growing community in this corner of the internet. So if you're craving that connection and community as a listener to the podcast today, you can gain early access to the Wild Collective. Simply pause this episode. Pause the episode, click the link in the show notes, and join us. I can't wait to connect with you and help you grow a wildly successful business. See you there. How does one find these people that are strategy minded first? And then when you do, what is a good onboarding exercise to test out their chops? What can you have them do?
Oh, I love this question. They've got to ask you strategy questions. I had somebody who gave me one of the best compliments ever. They said, "You are the first person who asked me what I wanted to accomplish before you told me what tools I needed to buy." Right? Yeah. Oh, you need to be on ClickFunnels. Oh, you need to be on this. Oh, you need to be on this. Or my favorite, oh, you need to be doing Facebook ads. I don't know if you need Facebook ads until we sit down and have a conversation about what you want to sell and accomplish over the next 90 days. And if that person isn't asking you those kind of questions about, okay, so who is your audience and what do you know about that audience and what do you want to accomplish over the next 90 days? What are your goals? What are you measuring? If they're not asking you those kinds of questions, you might want to rethink hiring them first. They may be great at execution, but you're going to need somebody who can come in and help you with the strategy and say, okay, if this is what you want to hit in the next 90 days, these are the 4 things you need to have in place. And then go hire somebody who can put those things in place. But you got to make sure they're asking you questions about strategy and not just telling you all the things that they can do for you, because that's where the misalignment is.
Yeah. And in the hiring process too, make sure that you're not giving this stuff away to them, right? You want them to come in with this information. And I love that because, to fully understand the breadth of what you need for your business, it takes that outside perspective. But here's the other thing in outsourcing and hiring contractors or employees is they come in with a fresh set of eyeballs, with different experiences, with different suggestions on how to do things. But the strategy is definitely important. I mean, sometimes there's like these very ad hoc ways of getting going, which is fine. But at the end of the day, it's like, here we are now, and this is where we want to be. How do we get there strategically so that it's sustainable and it's predictable?
Yeah, you know what? It's almost like drugs, Renee. You're chasing that first high, like, oh, I got my first 5 clients because I got word of mouth referrals. And then you're constantly chasing that fluke every single month instead of learning how to actually market. And I see it all the time. Well, I did this. I put this one post out and I got 10 people. That was a fluke because you can't replicate it, right? And that's one of the things that we teach. We teach people how to create repeatable systems so they can have predictable income. And that means you got to learn a little bit more about how marketing works and, how to pivot or, okay, well, I was doing this for 3 months and then it stopped working. What do I do next? Like you need to understand how marketing works. And that's where the strategy comes into play.
Yes, I love that. So being a almost retired PR person, I still do take on a couple clients, it's so interesting how some clients just want a press release for everything. And I'm like, you got a new leather chair for your office? No one's going to care about that. There's no strategy behind this. There's no story, right? So we talk about like stories in PR all the time. What's the narrative? What's the messaging, which is looped in and threaded so tightly into everything we do in marketing too, because your marketing message has to tell a story, but it also has to share the message that when somebody who is your ideal customer reads or sees or hears the thing that you're sharing, it's like you're talking to them. How does she know this? How does she know I feel this way? How does she know I need new cream for my face? Of course, I'm going to buy this right now, right?
Absolutely. That's the best thing that you can do is know who your audience is, because that's what builds that connection with them. And with all the different things that are happening in the world right now, all the different opportunities that people have to be distracted from you, you've got to have a better way than just a social media post or just a TikTok reel to connect with that audience and make them understand that you are the best solution for them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have to be BFFs with them. Okay, so now we talked about how to hire. I mean, this was just very like quick overview, but next we need to talk about strategy number 2, which is what to focus on.
Yes. And I alluded to this just a little bit. I see people focus or fixated on the wrong things because we don't know what we don't know, right? And I'm sure a lot of your audience can relate to this. How many people, when they said, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, the first thing that they did was they either went and got a real fancy, dancy website, or they went and got some real cool business cards. I don't even know if people still use business cards these days, right? But I will tell you, in my first iterations of my business, I had like 5 different business cards, right? Because I wanted to do this. And then I actually started doing that work. I'm like, oh, I don't like working with those people. Okay, I need a new business card. Got a new business card. And then do the same thing with websites. Oh, if I just change my brand colors, then I'll attract the right people. Or I need a cool title. Or I need this. And you're focused on the wrong things. Like those things feel easy, right? Because they're tangible and they can see. But 80% of the people that I talk to, they don't need a website. They need to learn how to sell. We had a client, she's a communications coach and works with career folks. She had a full-time job and she was launching her business on the side, a place where a lot of us start. This was back when Google Pages was a thing. Anybody remember Google Pages, right? She didn't have time to do a website, but we set up a Google page with who she was, what her offer was, and a PayPal link. And she had 3 clients in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because we focused on, let's get on some phone calls. Let's reach out to all those connections you have in LinkedIn. Let's use this script to sell. And she went on, like she hired her. She's in our coaching. And then she went on from our coaching to actually hire us to build stuff for her. And I love seeing that progression, but it all happened because she focused on the first thing first, which was getting sales, not just getting stuff.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it is so true. I coach all the female entrepreneurs in my programs. Be scrappy. Like just be scrappy. Only spend the money you have after paying yourself, which means, I'm sorry, honey, if this is a side hustle to begin with, then you're working early, you're working late and on the weekends. But if you're passionate enough about it, you'll make it work. Be scrappy. You don't need, like you said, to have the fancy logo, the fancy website, the fancy neon sign behind your desk like I do, because that's not going to get you customers, right?
Yeah, or my favorite, Renee, is the fancy photo shoot. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So great in a fancy photo shoot. And it was like, what, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. And how many clients do you have? Well, I don't have any clients yet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We got to think about that.
So, in starting out, so marketing, like maybe we should redefine what that means too, because it is about obviously connecting with the customer, but you can do that in so many ways that isn't about the fanciness. It's not about the bougie things. It's about, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm good at it. I think you're my ideal customer. Let's work together. Like I remember when I first started my PR agency, we had nothing. We were literally my soon to be co-founder and I and a couple contractors coming together, doing projects together for the same startups. We're like, let's just package this thing together and we'll charge them more money and maybe it'll work. And guess what? It did, because we were working with their ideal customer and they were forgiving, knowing that we were just starting out. And then it led to the next thing and eventually our marketing systems got a lot smarter and we were able to do ads and we were able to do something a little bit more strategic than just these ad hoc things. But coming back to like what to focus on, and we talked about how like being on everything for everyone isn't going to get you anything. So what are the things and like, how do we know what to focus on when we're first starting?
You focus on something that's going to make you money. I mean, that's the big question. I've turned down people. Like we build, sales funnels and all those kind of things for people. And there have been people that I've turned down because no, you need to focus on making money. And sometimes, like I said, that money is picking up the phone. Sometimes that money is having that list of people and being like a gnat, like where you're just going to keep calling, you're going to keep asking, you're going to be, keep, reaching out to people until you get that sale. There's a little bit of a hierarchy, right? I'll break it down this way. If you don't have sales right now, that's your first priority, is to get some sales. Mm-hmm. If you've got sales, but you don't have anything in your pipeline, your next priority is to now build your pipeline, right? And I remember this too, my very first client I was super, super excited. And then I realized that when I was about to be done with them, I didn't have any other clients. So it was like, oh, how long is it going to take me to make that happen again? Right? So get your first sales. If you start getting sales, then start building your pipeline, right? Once you learn how to build that pipeline, then start building your audience, right? But I see people do it the other way around. I want to be known on social media all over the place. That's great. This is another favorite quote of mine that I say, and I quote myself a lot. I don't know if there's like a disease with that or something, but I say I was Facebook rich and profit poor for the first 5 years of my business. Everybody loved me on Facebook. They were following me. They were telling their friends. I couldn't make $5,000 a month to save my life. And I see people do it with TikTok.
That's
yes, Facebook rich, profit poor. You can be TikTok rich and profit poor, LinkedIn rich and profit poor, right? You can have that following, but again, get the sales first. Once you got the sales, build your pipeline. Once you have a pipeline, then build your audience, right?
I'd love to add one more thing to this too. For the people that have already started this journey and maybe they're building this pipeline and they're like coming stagnant or like there's ebbs and flows, is take a list, like write down a list of all of your activities that you do in a day or in a week, your marketing activities, and grade each activity based on how much each activity contributes to your profits. Because people are like, I'm so busy. I got so much to do, but I'm not making that much money. It's like, where are your busy tasks? Because if you realize, oh, you're on TikTok and it's great, but you're not getting the right customer, but you have a huge following. So I don't want to give that up because we work so hard to do that, but I'm not getting any money there. Well, honey, you got to stop. And what's the next thing? Is the busy work isn't productive. We have this sense of accomplishment of producing because we're busy. But if it's not translating into dollars, then what's the point? So that you can go to the bar and say, I got 200,000 followers on TikTok. That's great. If that ain't $200,000 in cash, stop doing it.
Oh, you are preaching to the choir. Like my folks they know I will say it to them all the time. Like there's no way for you to tell me that you don't have time to do marketing if you don't have enough clients. Because I'm like, what are you doing with your time? Like, what did you really do today? Like, if you come away at the end of the day and you say, well, I'm not getting any more clients, I'm going to ask you, well, what did you do with your time today? Because that's the first priority.
They don't want to admit it because they know they're doing something wrong, but they feel this. And I'm obviously like, I'm talking about myself, old me. We don't want to admit we're doing something wrong because we feel like we've just wasted time. We've wasted money. And so we just hope maybe one more day this is going to work. But, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and expecting different results. So how about take things off your plate, only put on the things you have known to generate cash and keep doing those and go deep on those. That's the last thing I wanted to add to that. Let's skip to strategy 3. Oh, baby, let's talk about expectations. So what are those expectations when implementing a marketing strategy when it comes to money, timing, and results?
Oh my goodness. I think I'm going to put together like a TED Talk or a masterclass on this alone.
Do it.
Social media has got a lot of people fooled. Paid traffic has got a lot of people fooled. Like we've all seen the ads, right? Oh, I started doing Google ads and I made $6 million in 6 days. Like, now I'm exaggerating a bit, but we've seen that. I work with a lot of folks. I work with some folks who've got 7-figure businesses, but they have really unrealistic expectation about how marketing works. Like somebody who finally decides to do Facebook ads. And here's what they'll do. They'll boost the Facebook ad. Right? Because I can do this myself. I don't need a professional. I'll just boost a Facebook ad. And then they'll spend like $300 and I'll be like, oh man, this did not work. And I'll come in and I was like, well, do you know what the cost of a lead is right now? Do you know what other people are spending on Facebook ads? A perfect example is I had somebody who was like, well, I'm spending $25 a day because I watched this video on YouTube and he said, you can do this for $25 a day and you can get sales. I said, well, that was an e-commerce person, number one.
Right? And that was 20 years ago.
Right? Exactly. Or in Facebook, it could be 2 weeks ago and it still might not work, right? But, they're not in the same business as you. They're not selling the same thing. You're selling a high ticket offer and you're competing with people who are spending $900, $1,000, $2,000 a day on Facebook ads, but they're also pulling in like 7 figures. So, that $300 that you were paranoid about, when you compare with somebody else in your industry who's spending more money, that they're going to get more traffic than you. That means their cost per lead is going to be lower. But if you had that expectation, well, I'm doing Facebook ads, What's the strategy behind it? Are you sending ads to a cold audience? It's really, really hard to sell stuff to a cold audience that doesn't know you. They're not going to buy. We talked about this a little bit, how like marketing is like dating. I was saying that like marketing is like dating.
Yeah.
Most of us don't get married on the first date. Now, I will say this because I say this all over the place. If you are Jason Momoa or Mark Chestnut.
Oh, he's right here. By the way, he was waiting. Yeah. Hey, come on over.
Yeah. Or you're that Bridgerton dude. Like I would marry
oh my, yes. I'm sorry. We can go back. The Duke.
Oh my God. Yes. I'm coming with the wedding dress and the ring on the first date. That's a gift.
I will be ahead of you and you can fight me. I'm already married, but that's all right. Yes, I totally get it.
Right? Yeah. See, I knew you'd feel me on that. But if you're looking at those people, we're going to have to court each other. Right?
Yeah, totally.
With the high ticket offer. So that means I need to know about you. I need to see your success stories. I need to know that you can deliver value. I need to know that you actually care about me and I'm not just a number. And if you have this expectation that as soon as I put something out there, everybody's going to come to me and I'm going to make a whole bunch of money. Or my favorite is, how many times did you send out that email? I sent out one email because I don't want to be a pain. Do you know what happens in people's inboxes and in our lives? Think about our own day. I might have seen something amazing that you posted on Facebook, but then I got a phone call. And I had that phone call. I was at the doctor's office, and that's why I had a minute to look at my phone. And then after my doctor's appointment was over, I got back in my car. I've got 2 kids I've got to take care of, and then I've got to come home and cook dinner. That one beautiful thing that I saw 4, 5, 6 hours ago is gone.
Yeah, it's forgotten. Yep.
Right? But when I put one thing out there today, I sent one email. It takes consistency, and you really have to think about the long-term road with this. There's no real fly-by-nights anymore.
I call it the 8 touch points. So every day, how are you essentially like getting in front of your customer at least 8 times? An email, an Instagram, like within the channels that work for you. Are you shooting lives? Are you sending a thank you email? Like what are those 8 touch points? Just check them off. Boom, boom, boom. But
absolutely.
Yes, continue.
I so connect with what you said. We have something called a flawless follow-up system. And we teach people how to connect to their VIPs, which is their very, I just lost it. They're very interested prospects, right? Because that's who we want to connect to. And we give them those 8 touch points, whether you're a hot lead, a cold lead, a warm lead, or even a partner and former client. But we get into that kind of granularity of segmentation because it's in this day and age with marketing, it's about personalization. And people need to know that you care. They need to know that you're connecting with them on a real level.
It's true. Okay. So we talk about money, timing, results, anything else in terms of setting those expectations when implementing a marketing strategy?
Yeah. So in this day and age, the expectation that you're not going to have to learn how to market is ridiculous. And I hear that I don't want to learn how to market. I don't want to learn how to sell. Even if you hire the best salespeople, they're going to take their cues from you. And nobody's going to love your business and love your customers the way you do. So you don't have to become like the master salesperson. You don't have to become like the master marketer, but you do have to step up your game and be willing to learn and stick your nose above the line so that you're understanding like what's happening out there in the market. Because if you don't do that, that's when people get scammed. That's when you pay a whole bunch of money to people and they take advantage of you. It's like, well, I didn't know. Did you ask the right questions? Did you do your due diligence? Did you know what you could know so that you can make a really smart hiring decision, which ties us back into the first strategy we talked about?
Yeah, full circle. You must be a marketer. I love it. These are great. And actually, before we pressed record, I was saying how most people don't need to be taught this stuff. They need to be reminded. They need to be reminded that it can be simple. It's just that you got to continue trying and doing it, right? Yeah. So it's like scrappy, but simple. Don't spend the money until you've earned it and then you've paid yourself. Anything else you wanted to add to these strategies?
Just the consistency is the most important thing too. Mm-hmm. People give up way too quick. And I said that before about, I send one email because I don't want to be a bother. Listen, when you have a solution that is going to help someone, you are never a bother. And at the end of the day, that's what marketing and sales is about. You're helping people get their problem solved. And there's no way you're bothering somebody who has a problem that you can solve. In fact, you become their hero. So keep showing up consistently, be their hero, help them solve the problem, change the world, and transform lives.
I love that. When you have a solution to someone's problem, you are never going to be a bother. That is super quotable. It also comes back to us when we talked about defining your ideal customer. Because if you know who that is, you know the problem, and you have a solution for that, you will never be a bother. I love that. Me, you are smart. Okay, I got one last question for you. My favorite question to ask all guests. When I ask you what it means to be a wild woman, what is that to you?
To me, the first thing that comes to mind is being unapologetic about how freaking brilliant I am.
I love it. Oh, you are brilliant. And you said you had a book. What's it called?
I do. It's called Girlfriend, It's Your Time. And it's all about reclaiming your brilliance. Brilliance is one of my favorite words. We all start off as brilliant, and over time, things kind of dim that light. And for all of my wild girlfriends out there, it is time for you to reclaim your brilliance because, like I said, my quote, there are people who can't step into their purpose until you step into yours.
Ooh, baby, that feels so good. I love it. Okay, so if people want to go online to find you, follow you, find out more about you, where can they go?
They can go to thatmarketingteam.com.
Awesome.
That's the simplest way to find me.
I love it. Well, Tai, it has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Renee. It has been an absolute pleasure to hang out with you in your space. I appreciate the invitation.
So there you have it. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Into the Wild. To make this girl happy and to help reach other women who are dreaming of starting their business, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and everywhere you listen in. Also, if you want to find me in the wild, check me out on Instagram at Renee_Warren. That's RENEE_WARREN. And leaving you with one of my favorite tips of all time. The best advice you could ever receive is from someone who has successfully done it before you. Until next time, ladies, peace out.